Okay.
I see you.
Looking. Oh, I see you. Hello. Hello. Hello.
How cute!
Yeah.
I think that's the pattern that my fox has.
Aw, I like your links too. That's
Thank
such a pretty
you. This is the
one.
latest
Aw.
pattern that Linny has. That's the name of my links.
Oh.
But all right, so I'm gonna go ahead and
That's
do
so
my
cool.
intro.
Okay.
Hello everyone, it's Bebop307 here, and welcome back to another episode of Meadow with Friends. I'm here with my friend JayPlays today. Thank you for joining me.
Hey, it's gonna be fun. I think I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, I really enjoy doing these because it's so nice to just have a conversation, and I very much like having a game to play. Meadow is such a perfect game for these kinds of videos. Because it's just
It
so
really is.
peaceful.
If I can remember how to use the controls, that is. I always get tripped up because I play Shelter 2, and then it's different.
Oh,
So
really?
I always get confused. Yeah.
Oh,
There's
like
just enough discrepancy. Oh, yeah, right up there. There's just enough discrepancy to be frustrating, so I apologize if I, forget what I'm doing and just sprint into a wall or something. That's what's
No
going
worries,
on.
man. The controls are weird on this one.
They are a little bit wonky.
Yeah.
Ooh, animal piece.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Okay, so I did want to talk about a general topic today. It's not the only thing we're going to be talking about, because there are some other questions I thought would be interesting for both of our viewers to hear us discuss. But the main focus of this one, of course you already know because I discussed it with you, but we're going to pretend I didn't for the viewers. But the main focus of this one is kind of about social anxieties, because you and I have had a couple of conversations relating to that, because we both I think you have had more struggles with it than I have, but I definitely struggle with it, even though I love talking to people. Yeah, so it's kind of it'd be nice to talk about it. And
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
See, it's kind of funny because I've actually thought about talking about some of this stuff before, doing a video on it, but then I worry I'm gonna say the wrong thing and not present it well, and I'm scared to talk about social anxiety because of my social anxiety. That's literally what it is, and if that doesn't sum things up, I don't know what does.
Oh my goodness.
So I think this will be good.
I know what you mean. Yeah, I'm glad then. I'm glad you're willing to do this with me. Also, look, I'm a chocolate lynx now.
Oh, that's so cute!
Just in time for Halloween.
But
yes. So I don't know if it's like this for you, but for some reason, sometimes this is mostly relating to going on calls and stuff, but for some reason it can be easier sometimes for me to jump in a call with random people that I don't know than going in a call with somebody that I kind of know, and I know one person but I don't know their friends. So I want to join the call, I really do, but for some reason that makes me a lot more nervous. I thought maybe that would be a good first question. Why do you think that is? Why do you think it's easier sometimes to do that?
I feel like in general there's kind of varying degrees of things that are scary, ranging from, I'm not that scared of calling with the friends that I know because, I kind of know them. They're chill. They kind of know me. They know my quirks, my weirdness, some of the strange nuances about the way I communicate. And so, the more somebody is aware of that, the more easy it is to communicate with someone. But I think part of what's scary is that when you have someone who you know somewhat, or even if you know them a little bit better, but then their friends are there and you don't know their friends, I think that's part of where some of that comes into play, because of course then you kind of are you're in a situation where these people don't know you, they don't know any of those nuances, they don't know about how you communicate. You get scared of communicating wrong, but then you kind of, you don't want to make a bad impression for your friend, but you also don't want to make a bad impression to your friend's friends, because these are people you might, it's a little bit of a different thing than just a random stranger who maybe you interact with them one time and you never have to see them or interact with them ever again. It's a little bit scarier because there's kind of more permanence, I think, to that. I mean, you might actually interact with these people again. They're your friends' friends or whatever. And maybe if you're all in kind of the same group, these are people you will see and interact with again. And I think that does make it a little bit scarier, at least for me.
Oh man, that is actually pretty much what I was thinking about. Like I was trying to describe it to myself earlier, like why does this make me more nervous? Because there's a server I'm in with one, like a friend from work that I get along with super well, but I have such a hard time joining their Discord calls, and I've kind of mentioned this, like I feel like I'm interrupting a conversation, or like I won't know what, like I won't have anything to say. And they're like, nah, you can always join whenever, but it's so hard because I feel like yeah.
Definitely. I definitely know that feeling pretty well.
Yeah. It's definitely a struggle. So I'm glad I'm not the only one who thinks about these things, because it kind of gets to you sometimes, and you're like, man, I wish I could be brave. I wish I could be braver, but it's so hard, even if they reassure you. And then you don't always want
scary.
to. Yeah. Like, another thing that I kind of think of along the same vein is I feel much more comfortable when I see they're in the call, but if there's a lot of people in the call, I don't want to join. But it's almost worse if there's only like 2 people in the call.
True. Like, there's kind of a level where you can kind of comfortably blend into the background, but at the same time, it won't be super overwhelming to have everybody else talking over you. But then there's a level where, like, you're actually kind of expected to carry on more of the conversation. I think that's what can get a little bit scary, is either if you feel like you're not even going to have the chance to say something if you wanted to, or if you're going to be expected to say things when you maybe don't know what to say. I think that's a big part of it for me, is the idea of people are counting on me to say the right thing, and I don't know if I'm going to or not. I think that's something that really gets to me, because I don't want to say the wrong thing and make it awkward or mess it up.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Especially since I feel like I don't know enough about a lot of the conversation topics that people like. I'm not super. I don't actually know like a lot of shows. I'm not very good with names of artists and actors and stuff like that. Like there are a few things. Like if you want to talk about The Walking Dead and theorize, I haven't quite watched the last like 2 chapters. Well, I watched enough to where I watched up to the point where people thought they weren't going to be able to finish it, but they did finish it. So, like, I'm very close to finishing it. But if you want to talk about that game series, then yeah, I got you. I can talk about that for hours and theorize and continue to tell people why Kenny is a terrible character.
Sorry. But that's, it's fine. I have no context for that. See, that's one of the things I don't know about. I have no experience with this. I just have general things. But like, I think when you have interests like that are specific, that can make things difficult, because like, okay, for me, I would not be able to hold up a conversation on that topic. I would have no idea what to say. I mean, if you want to talk to me about that, okay, I'll listen, but I'm not going to be able to bounce the tennis ball back. It's not going to be a back and forth conversation. I'm going to be going, oh, that's really cool. I have no idea about this beyond what you've explained to me, but that's cool.
Exactly. So that's another thing that'll throw in for me. It's like, I kind of don't want to sit there constantly being like, I've never heard of that, never heard of that, never heard of that.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
I know how that is. Okay. I think too, one thing that can get difficult with this kind of thing is like kind of like the small talk and responses. So like I have a really hard time knowing how to respond to people, and I don't want to just be like, oh, cool, nice, yeah. I mean, like, I don't want to do the NPC response all the time, but at the same time, sometimes I don't know what to say, and so I kind of default back to that. And then people think I'm not listening, and I'm listening. I swear I'm listening. I'm as engaged in the conversation as possible, but I also have no idea what's going on, and so, like, I'm trying to be invested. It's not that I don't care. I just don't know how to respond to that. It's like the worst feeling, because then people assume I'm not interested or invested. And like, I am. I can see this matters to the other people in the conversation. I just have no context for it. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm sorry, but like, and then that's not anybody's fault. That's not necessarily bad in of itself. It's just so awkward.
Dude, I know what you mean. That's actually something I feel bad a lot about. Which is like, I'll try to think of something else to say, but it's just, you get so exhausted trying to rack your brain for some other way to say that's awesome without saying that's awesome.
Exactly. And it like, either you can't come up with anything and it gets more awkward, or you keep saying the same thing over and over and over again, and people are like, you okay, dude? And
Yeah.
it's just either way,
Oh my
it's so
goodness.
bad. I hate it. But yeah, it's definitely a struggle.
Yeah,
Oh
so
goodness.
that kind of leads into this question. I don't know if we kind of just
Okay.
discussed this, but another question I had was, what is the most difficult thing? And you know what, there are two questions kind of similar, so I'll ask both of them because they
Okay.
probably tie together. But what is the most difficult thing about interacting with other people for you, and what is like the hardest social cue for you to read? Like,
Oh
what is the
man.
hardest one?
That's a very interesting question. See, the last part of that question is like I'm really bad with reading social cues. And so,
Mm-hmm.
like, I don't even know which one is hardest for me because I worry I don't recognize them, like, at all sometimes. I mean, I can recognize some things if I'm focusing for them, but I feel like I
Mm-hmm.
miss a lot. And it's actually easier for me to communicate over text for that reason, unless it comes to something where, like, tone of voice has to be involved, and then that's a whole nother can of worms. but,
Yeah.
um, but, you know, like, reading body language or tone of voice or facial expressions is actually pretty difficult for me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not good in social situations at all, and and I get really paranoid about that because I know like the way that I speak definitely is different than kind of the expected or normal way. And so I worry a lot about miscommunicating and about people taking what I'm saying and misunderstanding it and then getting the wrong impression about me, which
Yeah.
unfortunately that's been exacerbated by the fact that it has happened.
Oh
And
man.
yeah, it's not, it hasn't been good, but you know, then I get really
Yeah.
paranoid about that.
Mm-hmm.
And so then all that's going through my head while I'm trying to have a conversation or interact with people. And I think that can be even more paralyzing because then there's all this stacked fear on top of it. And of course, the more out of sorts you already are when you're having a conversation, the more likely you are to kind of mess things up. And it just becomes a vicious cycle of anxiety and disaster and pain.
Yeah, I know
And
what you're
it's,
talking about.
yeah, it's like the worst thing. I
Mm-hmm.
hate that. So like I don't know about a specific social cue specifically that's
Mm-hmm.
hard for me to pick up on. I just think there's some general situations that can come up that are particularly bad, and that can be really frustrating and difficult to deal with just because of the situation surrounding them. So that was kind of half the question. I guess what was the other half? I mean, we talked about the cues. What was the other half
The other
again?
half was just what for you is generally the, which is why I combine them because they're kind of
Oh,
similar. What is
okay,
generally the most difficult thing for you with interacting with
okay.
other people? What is the hardest thing for you?
I think that kind of well, we kind of did cover
Yeah.
both then. I guess in that I think
Mm-hmm.
is what we just talked about.
Yeah,
Um,
that's why I combined the questions because I
yeah,
realized, because I think we talked about this a little bit before, and I remember you mentioning that social cues was something you had a really hard time with.
right.
But
Yeah, that is something for
yeah,
sure.
I think from my perspective, because like there are different things. Like I'm not too bad with social cues. I
Okay.
think it's definitely hard for me to tell if somebody. I don't know if people are. Well, no, I don't know. I wouldn't say
Hmm.
flirting's one. I can't. I'm
Oh,
not very good with that.
that's a whole new can of worms too.
Yeah.
That's a
So
whole other matter.
yeah. So maybe we'll set that one aside for now. I think
There's a
sometimes
lot to unpack.
oh yeah, I know. I think
Oh
for
man.
me, I did like you. I definitely worry about people misunderstanding me because there have been multiple
Yeah.
times where over text or something like I'm being completely jokey or sarcastic, but I'll get like a serious response. I remember there
Oh
was a
man,
conversation
yeah.
where I joked and I was like, because I said Coolio Tulio. It's a silly phrase that I like because it rhymes.
Right.
And so I said it and I was like, sorry, I just really had to say Coolio Tulio. And the person responded kind of like more seriously, like, don't have to apologize for your words, man. It's not like they're offensive or anything. And I'm just
Oh.
awkwardly sitting here like, ah, you're right.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and it's,
I know that feeling.
and I also talk like, I'll use silly words a lot. Like, outside of
Yeah.
my videos, I will admit to viewers, I do swear a decent amount. Like, when I'm comfortable with my friends and stuff, I swear. But otherwise, like, I'll often use silly words or make weird noises or say really kind of like goofy things in conversations, and sometimes it stops people short a little bit, and they're just like, "What?"
Oh.
I mean, they don't really make fun of me, but they start laughing like you're kind of like you're ridiculous
They
in
don't
a
know how to
friendly
respond,
way.
maybe.
Sometimes, yeah. So it's like I don't always know how to word things, and sometimes when I make a
Right.
joke, it's like they don't quite understand the joke I made, or
That
maybe it
makes
doesn't come
sense.
across the right way. So I definitely worry about
Yeah.
coming across the right way. I would say that's one of my bigger worries
Yeah,
because
I definitely get that. I think
yeah, because
I
like
can relate to that
I know,
too. That is
right?
another kind of another kind of common one there.
Wording things right feels so difficult for me. Like in my
Yeah.
head, I have these reasonable, nuanced responses. It's
Oh
just so hard
yeah.
for me to get them across. I think that's
It,
the
it makes
difficult thing.
sense when you're thinking it, but it doesn't make sense in translation a lot of the time, I think, is
Yeah.
part of the problem.
Are you swimming across the river?
I'm swimming across the river. We
Okie
kind of
dokie.
got separated a little bit
I
again. Oh,
sees
I
ya.
see you. Hello.
There are a couple over here.
Ah, ooh, yes.
Do you have more skins to collect for your fox?
I don't think so. I think I actually have them all. I've played as the fox a lot. I probably should play as other animals, but I just kind of I like the fox. I like the fox a lot, and so then I
That's
just
fair,
don't, and
that's
I don't
fair.
don't unlock things. Oh
I mean, you
goodness.
get more essence.
That's true. That's true. You do get a lot of
Yeah.
essence.
So, okay, so that would
Oh,
definitely be the hardest for me. I'm not quite
oh
sure
yeah.
what's social cue. I think I definitely have a hard time with
Yeah.
understanding when other people are being serious. I feel like I confuse
That
sarcasm a
can be
lot.
a thing. I mean, I feel like for the most part, I'm okay with understanding sarcasm, but
Mm-hmm.
like sometimes I don't know if a person is joking or like if somebody like in a situation where if I'm trying to figure out if someone's okay or not, or if they need comfort or support or whatever, I'm
Mm-hmm.
really bad with that because if someone says they're okay, that can, some people are like, I'm okay, and they're not okay.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes that means, yes, I'm okay, stop bugging me, you're giving me anxiety. Because that my
Yeah.
tendency to be like, are you sure you're okay? And that sometimes that's good, sometimes that's bad. And so in those situations where like, it can be more nuanced, then that gets tricky to deal with because like I'm bad at reading whether I should be taking that as a okay, yes, you are fine, or a no, you're not fine, and you're saying that, but you're really not, and that's a cue
Yeah.
I'm supposed to pick up. Like I don't know what to do with that a lot of the time, and I feel bad because that's one that I mess up a lot, and that's often already in an emotionally tense situation, and so then I feel bad for making the situation worse. And then,
Yeah.
then I get even more stressed out the next time the situation happens again, and it spirals and devolves. And yeah, I'm not too great with this whole emotional conversation thing. I want to
Yeah.
be I want to be there, but yeah, I just don't know how to words a lot of the time. I don't know
That's
how to
fair.
convey that, and to I want to be there for people, but I also don't know how to do it in a way that makes sense, if that makes sense.
I know what you're
I
talking
don't
about. It can
know.
be very confusing when people just don't tell you what they need, which is why
Yeah.
because I used to, I tend to, I guess repress it in a way. I just feel like I don't want to bother my friends with it because my friends are dealing with a lot on their own. But a lot of
Yeah.
the time when I'm feeling upset,
I've been
I
there.
don't often tell people.
Right.
So
I've been there
I
too, for
can,
sure.
yeah, I can understand why people want to hide it, but I've learned that it's much better to kind of, even if you can't give all the details, just kind of be like, I'm not great right now, so I'd like to talk a little
Yeah.
bit, or just letting someone know if you want to vent, or just saying, I'm not great right now, but I don't want to really talk about it. Just
Right.
that can help so much.
Oh yeah. Well, and
And
it becomes
yeah.
communication on the part of both people too, which
Mhm.
is what's difficult is because none of us communicate perfectly 100% of the time.
Mhm.
And if somebody is communicating badly, then that makes it more difficult to figure out what's going on, and that can lead to the situation devolving pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's difficult is trying to decipher if somebody else isn't communicating well, which I mean, I certainly, I'm the last person in the world to communicate well often. So I definitely get it, but it's also hard to know how to respond to that. And so I get that too. And it just, it gets so complicated so quickly, and that makes it stressful. Oh.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where I definitely think trying to at least practice being a little bit more
Yeah.
honest, even if there are some
Yes.
things that you can't, that you don't feel ready to talk about. Like maybe if there was something really bad that happened to you and you
Right.
just kind of sometimes even laying down the bare bones of I'm not all right now, but I'm not ready to talk about it. Could you
Right.
maybe just
That can
talk to
help.
me about other stuff, or maybe just give me a little space for a bit, and then I'll come to you if I need you. It helps so much,
Right.
especially like if you're in an argument with somebody.
Oh yeah, for
The
sure.
ability to kind of like say I'm really mad right now, so I'm
I
not
need
trying to be
space.
mean, but give me a
Yeah.
moment to calm down, and then I can talk to you about it again, or etc.
Yeah, and that's really true because I know I don't, the more stressful and emotionally charged a situation gets, the worse I tend to fare because it's difficult to figure out what to say in those situations. And so in a situation where somebody is like where there is tension is high,
Mm-hmm.
oftentimes I find I need to actually walk away from that situation and come back to it. And that in itself can come across wrong. And it's not that I don't care, it's not that I just don't want to deal with it or anything. I just need to physically collect myself before I say something I'm going to regret or just have an emotional breakdown because I'm so stressed out by everything. And so that can be hard because sometimes that in itself doesn't come across. But it's really, that's one of the things I think that's important about a relationship too, is to kind of learn those nuances about how each other communicates. Because maybe for some people, trying to take that space isn't necessarily bad. It doesn't mean they hate you. It doesn't necessarily mean that anything is wrong in a way that's unfixable. It might just mean this person needs some time to collect themselves
Mm-hmm.
and to kind of get back to a place where they can process things a little bit better, be able to come back calmly and not exacerbate the situation, if that makes sense.
Exactly. Oh no, that makes complete sense. But yeah, let me see. Let's see. Okay, so this is an issue that I struggle with a lot, and I think I mentioned it to you, and I don't know. I just want to see if I'm the only one, but it is actually extremely difficult. A majority of the time, at least with most people, there are a couple people where it's a lot easier, like with YouTube peers,
Mm.
aka like the AU group. It's a lot easier to ask to like hang out or do videos, etc., etc., because I really know you guys, and it's
Yeah.
because you guys kind of do similar things. Like it's a little bit easier to ask you guys, but in general, I have a very difficult time asking people to just hang out with me.
Oh
Like
man,
asking
yeah.
if they want to spend time together, like whether it's just like playing a game or going somewhere, which I can't really do much because I don't have a car, so usually it's
Oh
gaming.
yeah.
Um,
That's I can relate to that as well.
yeah. So
I don't
it's,
drive yet.
oh, my sympathies. I want to learn soon. Um,
I'm trying to learn. It's just taken me a long time.
yeah, that's
Oh
fair. Do
man.
you want to start at the tree and then like go to the tree real quick?
We could, sure.
Yeah, let's
We
start
kind of
at the
got split up a
tree.
little bit.
Yeah, that's partly why, and we're kind of in a like a dead end area, so might as well.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes
Hmm.
sense.
But I have a really hard time because it's not them saying no that I fear, because like if they can't, that's fine. Like
Right.
I don't want to pressure anybody, but
Right.
I worry about like feeling like I might be nagging them. And
Yeah.
I don't want
Yep.
to come across as this like really needy or obsessive friend. It's like, no, I like spending time with this person, and so I want to spend more time
Yeah.
with them. But if they can't, I'm
Right.
okay with it. And so I often like worry that I might be coming across as like really buggy or like trying to take up all their time, when it's just not that. I'm just asking because if they are free, I would like to hang out. If
Oh
not,
yeah, yeah, no. I mean
yeah.
that's totally legit. I've even been
Hmm.
experiencing that a bit right now. I mean, it's kind of a lot of my friends just went back to school and so they're not here, and we hung out a lot over the summer and I really am missing them right now. And so
Hmm.
I'm messaging them a lot, I'm wanting to play games a lot, and I worry that they're going to be like, oh my goodness, Jay, take a deep breath. But like, I
Yeah.
miss them and I want to spend time with them if they have the chance, but I also don't want to intrude or
Hmm.
be too much. Like, I'm just they're on my minds. I'm thinking of them, and I'd like to hang out with them because I miss them. But also, like, I don't want to be that friend who never, who he's always constantly constantly wanting to do things to the point of being exhausting, which I mean, that's its own can of worms too. So I definitely can relate to that. And like, I'm also like, I'm bad at initiating get-togethers or things because, like, gaming is a little bit easier because I mean, it's like, oh, what game do you want to play? But like, as for doing things in real life, like, that gets harder because, like, okay, what do? We could go get coffee, or I don't actually drink coffee, but other things.
Get smoothies.
We could go get smoothies, or we could go to the movies. But then like, there's a lot of things, and different things are more difficult. So like, okay, I don't want to always be going out to the movies or getting smoothies or whatever because money, and that's that's a drain on them. That's a drain on me. It's not something you can do all the time. But what else do? You can go to the park and walk. Yeah, it's 100 degrees outside. Do we really want to do that? And so like, I have a hard time coming up with things to do sometimes, it feels like, that are gonna be fun for everyone involved, and fun and feasible. And so like, especially in real life, that gets a little bit difficult sometimes to try and figure. I also, I live in an area where there's not a lot of accessible things to go do, especially during the summer months when it's hot as heck and all you want to do is just hide in the air conditioner and never leave your house.
Exactly. I know what you mean. 'Cause like,
it's tricky. It's
so difficult. It's because, like, for me, like you said, like walking in the park, for me, I am completely content just walking around, not even paying for anything, but like just bringing a couple water bottles and just hanging out and talking. That's it.
Yes, that's totally fine by me, but I don't want to do
in the heat,
in the middle of summertime. Like, that's great through the fall and winter and into spring, but once the temperatures rise, like, what do you do? Like, it can be fun to hang out. It can be fun. Well, and then the thing is too, like, I don't always want to, like, I don't want to intrude on people by saying we could go to your house, but also, like, I don't want to intrude on my family by saying let's come to my house because I'm not the only person who lives here. And so like, I don't want to just invite people over because then my whole family has to deal with it, and that's putting a lot on them. But I also don't want to be like, hey, let's hang out at your place again because I'm that friend who invites myself over. I don't want. I live in fear of being like a bad friend, I think, in that respect, because I know some people are more okay with that, and different families have different cultures too. Like, some people are okay with that. I mean, I have a friend who literally was just like, hey, do you want to come to my house after college? And I was like, okay. And we came back after class, and that was literally how I met that friend's family, because we just went to her house with no warning or expectation or anything at all. And it's just like, oh, hey, Jay's here. This is my friend. Hi. And that was just how it was. And that was fine because that's her family culture. But like, mine is a little bit more like, okay, we planned this get together 2 weeks in advance and we marked it on our calendars. And so like, it's so different when you have those different things, because like, my family is not all that spontaneous, and that's kind of just how we are, which is okay. But I mean, it's different from some people. And so when you kind of have those different situations, then that can create some miscommunications, because I don't want to feel like, oh, we're always going to this friend's house and never to mine. And so it doesn't feel very reciprocal, but it's also a cultural difference. And so how do you deal with that? It's a weird thing. It gets really strange really fast. And so there's just so much nuance, and it just gets complicated.
Yeah, that's actually something I worry about a lot. It's why, like, it's part of the reason why I would like to move out, because I have no problem with, personally, I mean, yes, if you want to come over, like, just send me a text ahead of time so that I can kind of like prepare, or tell you like, nah, not today. But otherwise, I don't personally care if people come over a lot. I really don't.
Right, exactly.
Because I do like hanging out with people. Like, I have a lot of social anxiety, and there are definitely times where when I really need to rest, where I like really need to recharge, and then I can't be with people.
Yes, I totally get that.
But most of the time, I'm okay.
But yeah, I mean, normally it's not a huge deal, and like, if it were just for me, then I mean, I'd be more okay with that if I had my own place and I wasn't going to be having to ask other people to accommodate my life in that, and putting that extra on them when they already have their own stuff going on and they've already got their own ways of being busy. I think other than that, the only thing that would be a hindrance is my social energy, basically. If you guys haven't guessed by now, I'm a big introvert. um, which is that's that's fine. A lot of people are, but the thing with that is basically I have a finite amount of social energy, and in order to recharge that, I have to be alone. Extroverts
Mm-hmm.
are the opposite, where they have to be with people, or they start to go a little, like they start, you start feeling antsy, you start feeling crazy,
Mm-hmm.
and you feel like you have to get out and do something. Well, introverts are the opposite. If I'm at a big party and my social energy hits the bottom, I'm going to start to feel really jittery. I'm going to start to feel really anxious. I'm going to feel like I need to get the heck out of Dodge and go
Mm-hmm.
home and take a nap. Oftentimes I do. Normally I'm not super tired in the afternoons, but if I go hang out with my friends in the morning, no matter how much fun I have, oftentimes I will come home and just crash and take a nap for the rest of the day. And that's just one of the ways I get my energy back up. But and that, introvert and extrovert can get complicated too if you have friends that are more extroverted and you tend to be more
Yeah.
introverted. But that is something to I think that's the main limiter for me, is if I'm feeling super tired, then I just might not be able to do that, because I don't want to be cranky and exhausted while you're here either. Like that's not fun for you, it's not fun for me. Let's
Mm-hmm.
find a better day, unless it's like right before someone leaves for college and it's our last chance to see each other for a while or something.
Yeah.
uh and that's another thing too, that if I may tangent a little bit, that I feel
Mm-hmm.
sometimes gets taken out of context for introverts. If we ever say, oh, I'm too tired or whatever, or we don't have the energy to hang
Mm-hmm.
out, it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean we don't like you. We may still, like, we probably still love you, but some days we just don't have it in us to socialize, even with the people we like the most. And that's
Yes.
just kind of how it is. It doesn't mean we hate you. It doesn't mean we're mad at you. It doesn't mean any of that. It just means we're really, really tired. And if we socialize, we might either be cranky or cry, or I don't know. It depends.
Yeah.
But yeah, sometimes that
Yeah.
just feels too stressful to be able to do it, and
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of just how we're wired. Especially if we've had like a really draining week where we've had to be out and socializing with people a lot and not really getting much chance to recharge. Oh,
I
I
fell.
didn't see that was a cliff. I fell.
I didn't
Well,
see either. I was gonna like
whoops.
jump over. I think we
Yeah,
have to go around this way, but there is a stone on
probably.
top of there.
Okay, yeah, I did see
But
that.
I know what you're talking about. Generally,
Yeah.
I actually like I have I think in the end I'm still an introvert, because if I really
Okay.
really need to recharge, then I can. I've heard of something called like an ambivert where it switches.
Oh, okay, maybe
Um
more of an ambit
a
then.
little bit more of an ambivert. I
Okay.
maybe leaning towards introvert, because in the end I think
Makes
I get the most like successful recharge when I really sit, relax, and just like enjoy a show and let myself immerse in it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Are you? I
And
see you.
there's a whole spectrum. I'm catching up.
Mhm.
There's a whole spectrum of it too. For it's not just you are an introvert or you are an extrovert. There's a whole spectrum. You can be in the middle. You can be close to the middle. You can be on the very far extremes.
Mhm.
And you might be a more towards the middle. Maybe you're like,
Yeah.
maybe you're 60% introverted and 40% extroverted, or something. Like maybe
Yeah.
you're just a little bit off that mark, whereas I think I'm very far off that mark. I have a very limited social energy now. And with that said too, I do want to put the caveat in there that an introvert left alone 100% of the time is gonna not fare well. Like, you still need, even as an introvert, you need social interaction. Even as an extrovert, you need downtime.
Mhm.
That's just kind of our basic needs as humans. It's
Mhm.
something we need to
Yeah.
be able to have. No matter how introverted or extroverted you are, you still will need some amount of the thing that drains you in order to stay healthy, but it may not have to be a lot. And I
Yeah.
think that's what trips people up, is people look at introverts and go, "Oh my goodness, you must not have any friends. You must be so lonely. We got to fix that." You don't need to fix that. You just, that yes, they do need friends. We need to have friends. We need to have social interactions, but it doesn't mean we're broken. It doesn't mean that it doesn't mean that there's it doesn't mean that the cure to introversion is not to throw us into social interactions constantly. That's going to make us shut down. That's
Mhm.
not, it's not something that needs to be cured. It's something that needs to be balanced. I think
Exactly. Yeah,
so.
because
That's another common misconception.
yeah, everything needs a balance, you know.
Yes,
It's kind
absolutely.
of like how people, like for example, I remember when I first told one of my friends that I actually have a personally, at least it feels that way, but I have a hard time talking to people. Like it'll feel that way to me, and maybe like when I'm actually in the conversation, I do just fine, but I have a hard time anyway. And they kind of looked at me and they were very shocked, like, you? And
Yeah.
the
That's
thing is,
unexpected, but
I can be, I think you can be good at conversation, but still feel very stressed and nervous when in
yes.
it.
Yes. Well, and like the other thing, the other side to that too is a lot of us get good at kind of coping, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
We find things that work that allow us to function in a conversation. It doesn't make it easy. And it
Yeah.
doesn't just because we're doing it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean that it comes naturally to us or that it may not be something that we're having to expend a huge amount of mental effort for. Like
Hmm.
this was actually something that happened recently with a conversation I had with my mom is I have very, very bad anxiety when it comes to talking to people on the phone, like specifically in the context of like not normal, not like talking with my friends, but like especially business calls or whatever. So like I had to make a call to set up an appointment basically, and
Mm-hmm.
like it didn't go the way I was expecting it. Like I had to leave a message instead of actually talking to a person, and I didn't realize I wasn't talking to a person at first, and it really threw me off. And I kind of just froze and sat in silence for half a second, and then blurted out my name and number up. And like that was I panicked. I didn't know it was like I panicked because it was not what I had spent my mental energy preparing for. And my mom was like, "What just happened?" Because she didn't even apparently know that I had this anxiety because I had gotten so good at not pretend like at faking it and making it basically. So, you know, it's
Oh yeah.
people can still be struggling with something, and you might not even know because in order to function, they've kind of created this like they've created a way of dealing it with it. They've created a method to cope and be able to at least still function even if it's not comfortable for them. And so but
Mm-hmm.
then if something goes wrong, that might all crash down and they might freak
I'm
out.
behind
It
you.
might oh you're behind me. Okay. Ah, I see you there. I thought you maybe had gone up. But yeah, so that's something to keep in mind too, is just because someone looks like they're okay with something, it doesn't necessarily mean that it might not be a struggle for them. And so if something like that happens, it's not necessarily it may seem really out of the blue, but it doesn't necessarily mean that there might not have been something there that they were having a hard time with beforehand. Basically, I think
Yeah.
is what I'm trying to say. I feel like my words aren't working here, but you know, again, that's
No,
a perfect example of
you're
social
making a lot
anxiety.
of sense. That was a really good
Okay.
example, I think, to kind of
Um,
explain how a lot of the problems like people deal with when it comes to like mental and just general mental issues can be so easy to cover up and hide.
right.
So,
Well,
like
and as
how
part of a survival tactic, we do it
yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's gonna hinder our chances of making it basically if we don't.
Yeah, so like for
Um,
example, you hear a lot about how the people who are supposedly the happiest are the ones who like a little bit of a darker turn to it, but you hear so much about how people who were depressed um finally coming open about it and everybody around them just being like they're always so happy, they're always smiling and making jokes.
yeah.
And it's
Yeah, that's very
because
true.
you get so good at faking it. Like there was a point
Yes.
in some of my darkest points where I felt nothing inside, like nothing, and I would laugh anyway at a joke, and it would just be
Yeah.
a knee jerk reaction, but nothing moved on the inside.
You
So,
kind of put on a mask to be able to
mm-hmm,
function because, you know, ultimately we all are trying to function in life and some of these things will prevent us from that. So for example, my phone anxiety, if I just always didn't do anything with that, I would never make any phone calls, I would never make doctor's appointments, I would never set up the things that need to be done, and I would not function in life because of that. So
mm-hmm,
I had to figure some tactic out to make it possible. But that tactic doesn't make it easy. And so a lot of the times, sometimes the things that seem like simple everyday life to a lot of people might actually be intensely hard for someone because just their brains are wired a little bit differently. You know, none of us think or act exactly the same, and sometimes things that are really easy for one person might really, really difficult for another. And you might not see that immediately until something happens and the person's coping mechanism doesn't succeed at making that task possible. Yeah, exactly. So for, again, the phone example, my mom had no idea that this was something that was hard for me until I completely froze up during a phone call because things didn't go the way I planned and I didn't have a fallback idea of what I was going to do with that. And she was completely shocked by that because she had not realized that this was an issue because I hadn't ever said anything and I'd gotten so good at just finding a way to deal with it nonetheless. And so that can apply in a lot of cases. Just because someone seems like they're okay doing something or they're comfortable doing something, it doesn't necessarily mean for sure that they are. And so that's something to keep in mind with any interaction with any person is that sometimes something that you take for granted might be really hard for another person to deal with.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Because, I mean, there are certain things that I find easy. Like, for example, when it comes to, this is YouTube related, when it comes to like dealing with comments and the idea like and numbers and stuff, numbers don't bug me. I don't like when I look at my subscribers, like if they go down, I'm kind of like, oh darn, and that's the extent that I give it. Like they just don't bug me, whereas I know a couple people where it really bugs them. They really laser in on it. And it's just, people think so differently. Things are different issues for different people. And for me, like, I can't quite understand why it's such a big issue for them. And they might not be able to understand why it's so easy for me to just sit there and be like, I don't really care about it. I just want to make good videos. And why it's not easy for people to kind of push me around to make a series they like. Because they actually can't. Whereas for some people, it's a lot harder to avoid that kind of pressure.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, so that's where, for me, if somebody tries to talk to me about it, I wouldn't really understand because I don't think that way, and
you don't relate to that in that sense. That's not been your experience.
Exactly, which is why.
So it's not something it's something that you would maybe. Well, I mean, obviously you're aware that not everyone thinks that way, and you're I mean, that's what you're communicating right now. But like if somebody had only ever had that point of view, they might be kind of blindsided the first time they encounter someone who doesn't, the first time they encounter someone who does have a real hard time with it. It can kind of be a shock as to, oh, maybe this isn't everybody's experience. Maybe this is something that's the way I think, but it might not be the way everybody thinks.
Exactly.
And it's just important to recognize that, I think, in your interactions, that people are different. It's not always a bad thing, but something that might come easy to you might not be so easy to someone else, or vice versa. And we're all just kind of different in that way. We're all made a little.
Exactly. So, I mean, while talking or like while inviting people to hang out may be easy for other people, for me, and I think, I'm not too sure about you, but I think I'll say for me, it's not. So
yeah, it's not for me either. It's a pretty difficult thing.
Yeah, okay, so you and I are kind of on the same page, whereas for other people, they're just kind of like, I mean, you don't need to worry about it. And sometimes you just need that extra assurance. But speaking of like kind of like friendships and stuff, because this is something that I think and worry about with like all my friends a lot, and that is like balancing friendships and balancing friendships. And for example, this is a bit more specific because this is something I worry about a lot with my friends, like all the time. And that is like, say, I mean, I worry more, this worry comes in more if it's with multiple people, as in like, say one person wants to hang out with me, but I don't really want to hang out with them in particular, but I do want to hang out with somebody else.
Right.
So I feel bad because, say, these people, they're my good friends, you know? I still care about them. I still want to hang out, but sometimes you want to either, because if I just don't want to hang out in general, it's easier for me. Because I'm tired.
You don't feel like you're being preferential or anything.
Yeah.
Is that a word? That is now.
Yes. I think you make perfect sense. It's a word. I'm pretty sure
I hope. It is now.
It is now. We have made up a new word world,
Oh my
added to the
goodness.
dictionary. But it's definitely something that I worry about because
Yeah.
I don't want to be preferential. I feel like I'm being a bad friend. I feel like I'm treating like these people worse than other friends if I don't want to hang out with them. But like at that time, even if at other times I feel like hanging out with them over hanging out with some other people. And it's just, it's something that I deal with a lot. So I kind of wanted to ask you if you ever deal with the same thing. Also, do you want to come see a really beautiful cave?
That is so cool. Yes, I would love to see it.
It wasn't a struggle to find it this time, thank goodness.
Oh,
I
man.
love
I don't know
this
if I've
cave.
actually been in this one. This might be a newer one.
Oh my goodness. And Gertrude,
Wow.
Gertrude, I don't need you to go barking. All right? She's sitting there doing her little like under the breath woof, and it's like, don't you get sassy over here.
My dog does that too. That's so.
Oh my goodness.
Oh wow.
Oh, I love it in here. And there's almost always like a really rare mushroom.
That's so cool. Yeah, these places are kind of known for them.
Oh, and there's also a really cute little island somewhere, but we can just kind of casually walk around. Like I'll show you in a little bit.
Okay.
Like we're kind of heading in that direction, and it was such a fun area. I discovered it when Lynx and I played together.
Oh.
And because she kept.
I've actually lost you.
Hang on.
Oh, I'm not sure which
back.
direction. Okay. Oh, I see you. Okay, I will follow. I love the little echoes too.
Yes, I have my volume kind of low because it gets deafening. But yeah. So I just wanted to ask about that whole thing because again, it's something that I worry about a lot because, and I actually talked about it with the friend in particular who is the current focus of that worry because there have been a couple times where I worry about that stuff. But and then like it's one of those things that I worry about with each friend, and then eventually I will tell them I'm worried about that, and they'll tell me like, don't be silly, you're fine. And so the latest event was with this one person, and they basically said the same thing, don't be silly, you're fine. And it's just kind of like I wanted to ask about it because it's like I can't be the only person who worries about that. And just jump off.
Absolutely not. Oh, you jump off?
Jump off?
Right here?
Right.
Oh my goodness, okay. Oh.
Did you miss?
I missed. I just jumped into the void.
Oh no. Okay, so get up right to that corner.
Okay.
I wish I could zoom out and like.
Oh, I think I know what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, absolutely. And I think part of that too is like at certain times too, we all kind of, oh, there we go. I made it this time. Oh, that's so cool. But I think because we all interact a little bit differently. And I think we all, like we're all better or worse with different things. So like there are that you may just be able to talk to some friends about some things that you just really can't talk to other friends about because maybe they don't understand, maybe they don't have that experience. And, you know, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I think that's kind of a normal thing. And this is just an example that I've had. So it could be if you're like in a certain, like if you're in a certain mood or you're working with something, you're working through something, you're feeling a certain way, that maybe interacting with one particular person might be more draining. And some people just are more or less draining. I think it can go back to that introvert/extrovert thing. Some people just take up more social energy than others. And so I think that's absolutely the case, that sometimes you don't necessarily feel like hanging out with one person. Maybe you don't have the energy for it for whatever reason. And that doesn't necessarily mean you don't like that person. That doesn't mean you don't have a lot of fun with them. It doesn't mean you don't want to hang out with them ever. It just sometimes at certain times it's just not quite how you're feeling, I think.
Yeah.
So I can absolutely relate to that. I think it's probably pretty normal. I feel like, see, the thing is, I feel like these are both fairly normal experiences, but also because of the nature of them, people don't talk about them. And so nobody really knows it's a normal experience for a lot of people. And when people do talk about them, everyone's like, oh my gosh, that's me. Because, you know, it just never gets talked about.
Yeah,
and so I think it's important to talk about it like this because people need to realize that this is more common than they think.
Yes, a lot of these struggles are, because like there are times where I'll bring stuff like this up to friends and they'll be like, oh my goodness, dude, it's so annoying. And then, like, we'll start getting into these really interesting conversations about it and just actually talking about these things and realizing, oh man, I know exactly what you're talking about. I can relate. I know what you mean. Oh my gosh. And it's just kind of like, it's just something that I think a lot of people tend to avoid. Like you said, it's just because it probably it can be awkward sometimes to admit that these are things you worry about.
Well, and I think too, one of the things is people kind of just assume that, oh, it's stupid, I shouldn't be like this. They assume that this is
Yes, I
like
was the
you
same.
feel like an idiot for having these problems. You feel like, oh my
Huh.
goodness, this is so
Mm-hmm.
back to that thing of faking it and making it. You look at everybody else, you don't see them having problems with this, so you're like, oh my gosh, I'm just the stupid one here. And so then you never say anything because you don't want to look dumb. And in reality, how many of these people are maybe just really good at coping with it? It could be quite a lot, and you would never know it because they've gotten good at dealing with it and hiding it from the outside, and nobody ever brings it up, and so it just never gets said, and everyone thinks they're alone.
Yeah, and that's partly why I'm so like it's one of the big things that I've kind of thought about like more with this series, and certain topics like this might be discussed again in the future, or like more
Mm.
specific versions of this topic, like very specific issues, but it's part of the reason why this Meadow series, I've been really working on it and thinking of specific topics, like with specific people who I know have definitely dealt with similar issues, or that I may have mentioned, like we've had short conversations about it before, which is why I invited you,
Mm.
asked about doing this particular topic, because I know you have experience in it and we've had a couple
It's kind of a
conversations
fun
about it.
experience, yeah.
Yeah, and so I want these things to be talked about more. I
Yeah. Well, I
really,
think they need to be. Oh,
oh yeah, they really do. I
oh,
do have a couple more questions relating to like social anxiety stuff, and then I have some general questions because it might be nice
yeah.
for our viewers to get to know you a little bit better.
Oh,
So,
okay.
the first question, and let's see. Do you want to go ahead and teleport back to the tree so that we can get off
Yeah,
this stuff?
we could go back to the tree, or even just jump off.
Yeah, I think if
Just
we
get
jump off, it'll
more.
teleport us here, though, won't it?
I don't know. Let's find out.
Yeah,
Let's find
let's.
out.
Woo! I'm doing a dive, a nosedive
No. Just yeet into the void.
into the void. I think I just nosedived past you.
Oh my goodness, really? I'm still falling really
Yeah.
far. Oh,
Oh.
we're up at top. We're up top. Okay.
Oh, okay, cool. So we don't have to go back to the tree,
Nice.
and we can kind of
No.
leave out another exit. Nice.
Continue
Ooh.
exploring around here. Yeah.
Okay. So I have a couple more
All right.
questions, and I think this might have been covered already, but I'll ask this one anyway. But what do you tend to mess up in social situations the most? What is something that you
Mm,
mess up the most?
good question. I think a lot of the time people don't always necessarily know if I'm joking or not. Like that's less of a problem in verbal conversations, but in text conversations, it definitely has happened. It definitely has been a problem. And I've said things meant in jest that someone took seriously and was like, "Why would you say that?" And I was like, "Ah." So that's one thing I live in fear is
I think I lost
is
you.
oh no, I went upstream here. Let me come back.
Oh, you went
Um,
out the entry. Okay.
I went towards the stream on the other side of the thing.
Oh, on
Yeah,
the other side?
like across
Oh, I
the
see it. I see it. I see it.
yeah.
I'm going over there. I was heading in
um,
that direction.
okay.
But continue.
But yeah, so like that's something that always scares me is being taken seriously when I'm not meant to be, or making like saying something that gets either taken out of context or is unintentionally offensive. I actually, fun fact, I actually worry about that in my videos.
Oh,
I'm a pretty innocent person for the most part. Like I'm not always versed on lingo, and my fear is that I will pick up a saying that means something I didn't realize it means and repeat it, and that people are
ooh.
going to be like, "What?" And I'm going to be like, that's not what I thought it meant." Like
Yeah.
I'm definitely afraid of that because I I'm a fairly innocent person in that regard. Like I'm not I definitely don't understand the the jokes and things people make nowadays. And I'm very afraid I'll
Yeah.
pick something up, or even just generally pick something up and not realize it could be offensive or not.
Mm-hmm.
Because okay, so there's this whole idea of, yeah, you don't want to be offensive, you don't want to intentionally be saying things that could hurt someone else, but sometimes it happens by accident. And what do you do then? Like, what happens if you
Yeah.
do say something completely unknowingly and unmeaningly? Like, you didn't mean to hurt anybody, you didn't, like, you just legitimately were not aware. I'm actually really scared of that, because it feels like this world can be really judgy if you slip up.
Oh, it definitely can be.
Yeah.
There's the immediate, in a lot of cases, there's this like immediate knee-jerk reaction to insult and demean somebody who messes up instead
Right.
of asking if they understood what that meant and then educating them and saying, please be careful about your words. I know you didn't mean it this time, but you did. You came across wrong. So is this what you meant?
Right.
And I wish people would be willing to ask that more instead of getting mad immediately.
And finding out the facts too, because unfortunately there are people who just legitimately want to tear others down and will twist their words to give a false impression. And unfortunately, I have been the recipient of that, and have, in some context, had a reputation damaged because people took what I said out of context and used it as a weapon against me. And that's damaging. May I just say that I have lasting fear from that, because I'm very afraid that people will try to do the same thing again, honestly, because, and I feel like now there's certain things that I can't talk about at all, because like people just don't, I feel like if I say anything about that, people will find a way to take it out of context. Like I feel like I can't make statements that are at all controversial or anything. There's a little bit of fear in that respect. And like, okay, in with some things I don't care, but with others it
Very
definitely
frustrating.
is. Yeah, it's not good. And so it's really important to really understand someone before you make an accusation like that, and before you go around and potentially damage someone's reputation, because you can really hurt someone that way. And unfortunately, in this particular situation, I almost wonder if it was meant that way. Like, if that, I feel it felt very much like a person with malicious intent, unfortunately. And that's just one of the worst feelings, to have had someone go out of their way to come after you for that, because they decided they didn't like that, and so they went and launched a full-scale attack. And we gotta get a friend, I think. I think we might have a friend. I think I heard a badger. I think I heard a badger. Yep, I hear a badger. There's a badger coming.
Woo!
So, hello, friend.
Hello, you're about to join us for the lighter conversation. Oh, yeah. I have to bring my emotes out now.
Oh, yeah, I know. There's mine.
Hello. Okay, let's really quick. Let's get a picture.
Yes. Yes, we gotta convene here. Let's
sit with us, little badger. Sit with us.
We shall see.
Sit with us, little badger.
Badger, join us.
I think I got a good angle. Oh, that's heckin' cute. Let me see if I can get another angle. Okay. Heck yeah. Okay, now we shall go.
Alrighty.
So, as long as they're cool with following me, because I've just been running around.
I'm following you. We'll try not to leave them behind. But
yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, unfortunately that's kind of the society we live in, and that's, when you have someone who already has social anxiety, that's a really
cruel thing.
Frustrating. It is. It really, really is. And like, unfortunately, I feel like that is now how people interact. Like, if they don't like you, or they don't agree, or for whatever reason, they resort to personal attacks and to slandering and demeaning.
I know what you mean, and I think that's partly why, in a way, that's definitely why I want to do more videos like this, because there are some things that just need to be talked about, and there are
Right,
ways you can do it
exactly.
in a respectful manner. And that's the most
Right.
frustrating thing, is a lot of time people want to just throw insults, and it's no, if you want to
Yes.
convince me of your argument, then have a better argument. Be respectful and
Exactly.
understand that I'm a thinking human being just like you are. You don't need to go after my
Exactly.
looks, you don't need to go after my history, my friends, or my lifestyle.
Right.
I just, yeah.
Exactly.
So I understand where you're coming from. In this day and age, a lot of people just, they get offended so easily. They take everything. Oh, we have two friends.
Oh, there's two now. Oh,
Oh, we have a little group.
goodness. We do. We do.
Woohoo!
Got a new badger. Aw.
But they take everything you say personally.
Yes,
And
and
it's
it's
not.
not okay. It's really not okay. And like the thing is, what scares me the most about this is it's one thing to have a handful of people who want to conduct themselves like that. That's always going to be the case. There's
Mm-hmm.
always going to be people who are too immature to handle an argument like a reasonable, rational thinking person.
Mm-hmm.
I may be a little bit snarky about it. That's always going to
Yeah.
be There's always going to be people who are like that. But it's becoming the norm, and we have a whole generation now that's starting to think that this is okay, that this is just how you relate. And I'm sorry, but it is not. We should be able to have a conversation without somebody having to get personally insulted or attacked for it. Like, that's not a thing that's okay. It should not be the norm in the society, and yet that's what it's becoming.
Yeah, I know
So
what you're talking about. Are you at the other stone?
I came towards here. I'm over here. There's a flower I found.
No, okay.
um
But
so
it is really frustrating because there are definitely things that I want to talk about, like I mean, just certain issues and the way people approach everything. The way people
yeah,
approach all these controversial issues, or the way they avoid them. And say, like,
right.
if a movie has anything about, like, just anything. It feels like people have to be so on tiptoes, so things are starting to be too similar. There's no variation. There's nothing
Yeah.
challenging us anymore. And I
Right.
really
Well,
wish.
that's a dangerous thing too, because if everybody speak, you become a hive mind basically. If
Yeah.
you're just your own echo chamber, and that's the most dangerous thing. If you start to personally devalue anyone who criticizes you
Mm-hmm.
and just completely discredit them, that's when really bad stuff happens. Like it's not a good path to be on, and if I can do anything to stop it, I want to, because not only has that been made personal to me, but just seeing the direction this is taking, it's not good. It's gonna hurt people. People are being hurt. Get hurt.
Yeah.
Just gonna lead us down a really bad trail. And
Exactly.
it really does need to be addressed, because it feels like you can't say anything contrary without everybody just immediately jumping on you and not just refuting you. If you came and refuted me with evidence, I can take that.
Yeah,
That's what I would
that's.
prefer. I'm fine
Mm-hmm.
with that. I'm fine with discourse. I have nothing against that. If you think I'm wrong, by all means, challenge me on that. Provide me with evidence to that effect to show me. But if you just
Yeah.
start coming at me and making personal attacks, then that just hurts everybody involved. That makes you look like an idiot. It makes me get attacked. It doesn't do anything good for anybody. It
Yeah, it's
just creates
just.
a bad situation on
Mm-hmm.
all fronts, basically.
Just a circle of
Um,
negativity that nobody needed or asked for.
it is, and then the thing is, like, I try to be understanding and open minded. And I try to respect that other people have different views. But if you get two people who are like that going at it with each other, then oh my gosh, you're just in for a flame war. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, if neither person is going to be the one to stand and refute with rational evidence, then goodness, what do you have left?
You just
What do
have
you
a
have? You've
couple
just
of
got
toddlers screaming at
fear.
each other. That's
Yeah,
essentially what you
exactly.
have.
And
And
yet that's the norm. Yet
yeah,
that's the
it's
norm in
so
our society. It's
frustrating.
not okay.
That's
It's just
why,
damaging.
hopefully, I mean, again, I know I mentioned a few times, like, it's why I'm so glad to firstly. Oh, cool! I think we can actually open this one. Maybe.
Oh, nice.
1, 2, 3, 4. Is that a badger mama or a badger baby though?
I don't know. I think these are mamas. I think these are mamas that we have here. Also, that new skin. I think. Maybe. I want to. No. Let me up the hill.
Badger.
Let me up the hill. One badger.
Oh,
Okay.
I think the other badger may be gone.
No, or not right. Darn it.
Well, there is another one over this way at least.
Okay, well, we'll get it. We'll get it.
But yeah, that's really all it is. And that's why, like, when I talk about, like, when I've talked with you guys and I think, like, I mentioned this a little bit in T's video when we're talking about mean comments, I don't tolerate useless insults. If you want to give me criticism or tell me, B, I didn't like this episode because of this reason, without calling me any names or saying the video was terrible, or but just explaining, I didn't like this video because my favorite character got, like, maybe, like, a niche, my favorite character died, and I really wish they hadn't. Then I can respond and say, I'm so sorry about that, but, like, maybe explain the game's mechanics. I really wish they lived longer. I miss them too. But don't worry, they'll live on forever in our videos or something like that, you know?
Exactly.
So if you can just be respectful about a disagreement or anything, then, like you said, bring me the evidence. Bring me, like, tell me. Because I am, oops. I need to remember it's not just us. We have our little badger friends.
Oh, that's true.
Sorry.
Okay, I think, are they here? Sorry, guys.
Yeah. I'll pay more attention to that in future.
Okay.
But I think, like, we've made some really good points on that. It's just, basically, I think both of us and, like, our whole group, like, definitely want to start having these more respectful conversations where we're not just, oh, hey, there's one right here. Let's go to this one.
Okay.
Where we're not just sitting there and calling people names, but we're just asking questions.
Right.
Like, for example...
Well, and that's a valuable thing. It's a valuable skill to have, to ask questions, to be able to take someone who maybe you don't agree with them, but to ask questions and to be interested and to find out about their viewpoint and to accept that they may be different, even if you don't, still be interested, be willing to listen.
Be willing to listen, 100%.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So that was a really interesting, like, way the conversation, like, I'm actually glad we talked about that because that's such a big, hang on. Are they behind us?
Oh, shoot.
Okay.
No, I'm so sorry.
It's okay. I was doing the same thing. They're really close.
Oh, they're here. Okay.
Sorry, I wish
guys.
there was an apology face.
Sorry, guys.
Sorry. Oh, okay.
Oh, no.
They're doing a cheeky face.
Okay.
There's another stone over there, but let's go back this way because there's another stone.
Yeah, I see. Okay.
Let's
go back this way.
But my last question in that kind of area is, now that we've talked about all the negatives and struggles, what do you think, social-wise, that you have improved the most on?
Oh, man. So I definitely think I have started to get better at reading social cues as a whole. I actually took a social class at a point in my life, and it helped a lot. And I think I am able to consciously read cues a little bit better now. It still takes work. It still takes effort, but I'm able to do it. And, like, even with the phone calls thing. Oh, they're gonna change animals, they said. But, like, even with the phone calls things, I've gotten to the point where I can make a lot of the phone calls I need to. Sometimes I still get tripped up if they don't go the way that I'm expecting them to. But for the most part, you know, I've at least developed enough of a coping mechanism to be able to function and to be able to actually do the things I need to do.
Yeah.
And so that's always an improvement. Even if it's not 100% of the time, if 50% of the time is better than none, 70.
Yeah, 50. Exactly.
It doesn't have to be perfect if it's helping.
Look at my badger baby.
Oh.
Do you want to come in the picture?
Yes, I will come. I'll come join the picture. Here, let me come over here.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to sit up and I'm going to... gotta get my emotes up again. Oh.
Oh, the cloud's passing over. Cloud move. This is adorable.
Oh.
But yeah, that's so
that
good.
Is so cute.
I'm glad that it's something that's become a little bit easier for you and will hopefully continue to get easier.
I hope
Certain
so.
things are always going to be a struggle, but
Yeah.
I will say that, like, for me, one area I've improved is just generally, it kind of goes back to like asking people to hang out, but I've improved with that. Just being blunt. I've improved at being honest with my feelings a lot more,
Oh, that's
and just being
good.
upfront with things.
That's always a good thing.
Just talking to people in general, I've improved with, because I used to never be able to start a conversation with somebody. I'd just be sitting there like, please start one with me, please start one with me, but I just couldn't.
Oh,
Oh my gosh!
it's so cute.
I want to draw this. I want to draw this.
Yes.
Just all of us. Oh my gosh, that's so cute.
That is precious.
Okay, this is the best thing ever.
Oh.
Oh my goodness, that's so
Here.
cute. I'm just like, yes.
I can go a little. I can make it a little bit better here.
Oh my gosh.
Here, cuddle pile, cuddle pile. Yeah. Oh.
This is so cute. Oh my goodness.
I love this.
This is adorable.
Oh.
I'm gonna doodle this.
Great.
I have to doodle this.
Yes,
I'm just gonna take this screenshot
do.
and then I'm gonna doodle it and then just put it up. Nobody's gonna, because I might put it up before this video goes out, so people are gonna be like, "What is this?" And I'm just gonna be like a preview of what's to come.
Oh,
so cute. Oh my gosh. Okay, got distracted. But
Things are distracting.
I think that's fine. This is adorable. That's fine. We can be distracted by this. Let's just sit here for a bit because that's freaking cute.
Okay. Yes.
But now let's get on to some other questions because I'm genuinely curious and I don't think I've actually really talked about these things with you. And that is like, what actually got you into YouTube? Like, why did you start YouTube?
Oh man, so that's an interesting question. So, I feel like I was very late to the game when it comes to YouTube. I didn't know YouTube gaming was a thing for maybe until 2 years before I started my channel. I feel like a lot of people are like, oh, I watched YouTube games for a long time and then I got into it. No, I only knew about it for like 2 years.
Yeah.
And I actually never really intended to do YouTube, and I never really intended at all for it to become a main thing for me. In fact, I misspoke here. I intended to do YouTube, but I was actually planning on doing art and animation more than anything else. And in fact, that's why I built the computer that I have, is because I knew I was going into art and animation. But I ended up starting out, and if you guys know my channel from way back, I actually started out doing Minecraft videos, which is pretty different from where I am now. Of course, I still do Minecraft.
Here,
I still do Minecraft, but
I started out with Minecraft videos as well.
Oh, that's awesome! Yeah, Minecraft is fun, but series structure is very difficult to achieve. I found I have a hard time keeping up with things, and even the editing is difficult for me. But so I actually started out, the first YouTuber that I really watched was actually Ethos Lab. He does Minecraft videos. I love him. He's amazing. I still follow his videos to this day.
Oh, that's so awesome.
I love how he does that. He does almost exclusively Minecraft. I think he did some Ark at some point as well. He was the one who originally was the reason I found out about Ark. But so
looks like little badger friend is ready to go.
Yep. There's another person, but they're still making their way over. Perhaps. I mean, they had left to change animals.
They just lay down. They lay down again. Wait.
Oh, okay. We can.
I don't know. Are we can pull it up? It's another. Oh my gosh!
Yes. So, but that was kind of how I got my start. Was watching those videos. And so when I got this computer, it was actually a complete and total afterthought. I was working on animation. I got this system because I started doing animation in community college. Oh dear.
The dogs again.
Yeah. But I was just noodling around one day, and I kind of had the idea a little bit before, because I started my channel about 2 weeks before I actually posted anything. But I was just kind of noodling around. I think I was playing Minecraft. That was like the only game I actually had. And I just kind of went, I bet I can record this. And so that was kind of how it started. It was just an experiment. I just thought, you know, well, why not try? And I tried, and the first series I ever did was Don't Die, and it lasted 5 episodes. I think we only ever had 5 episodes, and I still haven't rebooted it to this day because I didn't know what to do with it. And then I did Forgotten Worlds, which was Minecraft with dinosaurs, which actually was the first mod I ever officially finished. Was an add-on for fossils and archaeology that lets the dinosaurs spawn naturally, which I probably actually need to update now that fossils and archaeology is well.
Oh, okay.
But it was that was kind of my start on it. And I actually didn't really intend to take this in the direction that it went. I actually ended up completely by accident too. I found out about it from another YouTuber. I don't remember which one offhand. Thought, oh, this looks cool, and I ended up. How did it happen? I drew some fan art, and you know, I just thought, oh, this is kind of fun. I'll get the game when it comes out because it's coming out in a few days. And the niche devs actually saw my fan art and they were like, "Hey, nice job. Do you want a key?" And I was just like, "Oh, sure." And
they're so
because
awesome.
I have that, they are. I love the niche devs. They're amazing. You know, that's one of the best parts of being a YouTuber is you get to work with some amazing devs. And honestly, most of the games that I play, the game devs are amazing for that. Okay, I don't know what the other person is doing. Are we all supposed to meet back at the tree? Is that what you're thinking?
I don't know. That's why I'm asking, because they're by the tree, so I figured, like...
They've been by the tree for a while. But so I ended up starting to record niche because I just thought, oh, you know what? Why not? And that was how I actually got my start. Again, the niche devs were amazing. I did a giveaway before I ever got to 100 subscribers.
Dude, same here.
Oh, they helped me get my channel started. Really, honestly,
they were so sweet.
They
were. Oh my
gosh. They still are. They're amazing.
They are so sweet. Sorry, they were. It's like, oh no, now they're terrible. No. They're amazing.
They have not changed. They're still amazing.
I think that's.
But that was really what got the channel started. I started playing that. I started playing Wolf Quest, and that was where the direction really turned to where it is today. And it kind of just went from there. I think my friend got me Shelter 2, and it kind of just started to go from there. Of either I would buy games or people would buy me games, and we'd be like, oh, hey, this looks like a game you'd enjoy based off and with somebody give it to me. You know? And that kind of just how it started. It was very accidental, and I did not expect this to be the one that took off. I did not expect JayPlays to be like this. Was originally and fully intended as a side thing. It was not ever intended to be what it is now. And it's definitely that's come with some challenges because this was not the plan I originally had. So now I'm kind of having to kind of try and reconfigure that plan and figure out how this is going to fit into my life and everything. But you know, I really enjoy it, and as long as everybody else still is, I do hope to keep doing it once I can kind of get my own schedule figured out and be a little bit better with that. But and kind of get to a pattern and stick with it. It's been 3 years, and I'm still trying to figure that part out.
Yeah.
But that's kind of that was a little long-winded. I apologize.
That's really no worries. No worries. Like, feel free to talk. This series is the reason why these episodes are so long. They are kind of meant to be podcasty, so like feel free to chit chat. And if you kind of ramble a little bit, that's fine. I'm a rambler. I get it. It's okay.
Oh, yeah. That's another thing that leaves me insecure is
like talking a lot. Oh, dude, I know. I've talked with people about this. I feel so bad that I ramble a lot, but it's like a lot of the time it's how my brain works. So I'll just be talking like I'm gonna do this and do this,
and it's so unconscious. Like I'm not sitting here trying to. I'm just my brain's. Oh man, I just talked for 15 minutes and nobody else did me. Was that a bad thing, or is everybody chill with that?
Yeah. So I know exactly what you're talking about.
Frog!
Yay!
They made it.
Okay, let's go then. I'm gonna bring up the emotes and let's get back.
Yes.
I'm seeing if there's a stone nearby.
Okay. I do not see any.
Yeah, so let's
just see the frog. hopefully we'll be able to keep track of the frogs.
Yeah, we'll just whenever we get to a stone, I'll stop and I'll just make sure. I mean, we're all pretty close. There aren't a lot of people on this little server, this grove right now. Yeah. So it's not too bad. We can kind of figure it out.
But yeah, kind of that's the long story, not so short. Of how everything happened. So
That's awesome. It's kind of similar, like the starting content's similar. The difference is like when I started YouTube.
Oh, you're
Um,
kind of cutting out. What did you
oh,
just say?
the
Couldn't
difference
hear.
between our stories
There's
is
a
like when
piece
I
down here, by the
started
way.
YouTube. Are you hearing me now?
I hear you now. There's a
Okay.
piece down here though. That
Okie dokie,
that we might
artichoke.
want to get.
Okie dokie, artichoke.
um,
Oh, I see it. Yes, I need to get that because skins are the only thing.
somebody grabbed it already. So hopefully it won't expire. But okay,
Oh,
here we go.
I think it.
Hopefully not. Hopefully not.
No, it didn't expire. I think maybe because
Oh,
I saw it already.
good.
Woo!
Maybe.
Okay, so
Woo.
let's go ahead and cross this way. But
Okay.
like I actually had a kind of similar start. Minecraft and Niche were both my first series, and like I'm not nearly as big, but it definitely.
You're growing. You're getting there. You
I
definitely
know,
are.
like I'm fine with it. I
Good
kind
way.
of
Aw.
I don't want to. I don't really think about it too much. Like I don't think they're
Ah.
like. Of course, I would like to be bigger because I'd like this to be my main thing, which is where it
Yeah.
gets into the difference. I
Right.
always intended to do. Like I wasn't quite sure what creative work I wanted to do.
Hmm.
I just knew, like recently, especially when I started it, I wanted YouTube to be big. I didn't know if it would be my main thing. Like I thought eventually I might move on from it or
Huh.
something, but it's definitely become much more of a main thing lately.
Aw. It's a nice main
But
thing with,
it
as
is
long as you can schedule it to the
to like balance
that's
out.
that's the issue I've always found with it is I'm like, this is so fun, and I'll do way too much of it, and then I'm like, I'm dying, and then we don't have videos for a month. And
Yeah, that's why I
um,
kind of have started with this new little schedule thing. I'm gonna wait. I don't know how
yeah,
far behind they
I don't know where
are.
they are. There's a frog. Do we still have Badger? I don't think we still have Badger.
Oh, Badger left.
I think probably. Yeah, there's only 3. Okay.
Okay.
So
Well, as we still have
Froggo.
we still have Froggo, and we have
Okay.
those wonderful, adorable memories with Badger. So,
Yeah.
but like when I started, like I intended to take it seriously in a way, but I also knew logically
Right.
that it wouldn't be super professional for a bit. It's definitely a lot better now
Yeah.
because I have a better
Fair.
mic, I have a better computer, and eventually I'll have even better stuff, like better cameras, so I can do more videos with my. Oh, we can't do this one.
Aw, darn it. Too bad.
Dang.
Oh well. Is that actually a fox or is that a wolf? That's a wolf.
That's a wolf.
Yeah,
I
it's a
have the
wolf,
wolf.
okay.
I haven't played as the wolf.
I do have the wolf as well. I've played as the wolf a little bit. I like the wolf.
I haven't really played as the wolf. I think I might have seen the wolf in game before, but I haven't played as it. And was like, I need to play as the wolf. They're heckin'. They're
Yeah.
heckin'
They're
cute.
cool.
Yes. But yeah, so I'd say that was the one difference. Like when I started, like I wanted to be a YouTuber. I
You
wanted
were a
to
little
be
bit more
big.
intentional about it.
Yes, I wasn't
I was
like
kind of
doing
just
it
like,
as a
oh, this happened
side
now.
thing. Yeah. Like I
Oh
have a
my
better idea of the direction I want to go with it. Like definitely with more videos like this, more videos where I talk about these kind of things, as well as just like more stories and basically realizing that when it comes to like creative stuff, I can't it's very much like I can't really pick one thing. So
Yeah, I
I
feel
want
that.
to do so it's kind of like I'm trying to find a way to balance everything.
Yeah, that's what's been difficult for me too,
Yeah,
because like
so difficult.
I have art, I don't know. I don't know when this is going to be announced. I have a big thing in the works that I don't know when it's going to happen. I know you know what it is, so
Yes,
I don't know
I
if I should
do.
hint at it too much yet, but there's something big going on that I'm working on that I'm super excited to be a part of, and I'm hoping that will be something like I'm still in the beginning stages of that, but I'm looking forward to that. And then of course there's the webcomic, which we've been trying to organize that. I don't know exactly what state that's in at the
Ooh.
moment, but hopefully we'll be off hiatus or close to off hiatus after all the chaos that happened with that. But anyways, we had some we unfortunately had a team member who left, and so now we're just kind of scrambling to pick that up because
Oh,
they
okay.
couldn't be part of the project anymore, and so we're tried to reorganize that, and it's taking a little bit longer than I was hoping it would.
Understandable.
But hopefully that'll be back soon. That's still something that's very important to me that I want to continue on with, and just other stuff as well. I'm trying to figure out how to balance all of that. And what's hard for me is that, and I don't know if you experience this too. I think it seems like something that may be common to creatives is you get all these ideas, but you're only inspired to work on one obsessively for long periods of time.
Yes.
And then you're not inspired for anything else. So it's like, okay, I need to do YouTube, but I really just want to draw. Or I need to draw, but I really just want to do YouTube.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. That struggle right there. That's why speed paints personally have been really helpful, because I have content. But if I feel like I'm drawing a lot, then like I have a couple, and there will be more because I've just really been finally getting in gear with art, and I have to do so much art. So it's like it's kind of combining, so that way if I feel kind of, because in a way they're like low effort videos, there's not too much that I have to do. It's just I have to speed them up a bit and then find good music that I like with it.
That makes sense.
But so I do have another question relating to YouTube. I've actually got a few. I don't know how many we'll go through since we are about to hit the 2-hour mark.
True. Yeah, we're getting there.
Yeah, so I don't mind going a little bit over that, but I don't want to...
Don't want it to be too super long.
Yeah. So the other question that I did have is, like, what is so special about making videos to you?
I think being able to make these videos has given me a chance to explore kind of a facet of myself that I haven't really gotten the chance to, because like, okay, if you follow my channel at all, you know I'm a nature buff. Like I am an absolute nature. I know all these weird facts about animals, and if I don't know the weird facts about animals, I will learn the weird facts about animals because they're just so heckin' interesting. But like that's not a common thing. Like most of the people I know in real life are not as super fascinated with animals as I am. It's a hyperfixation, and it makes it, it's one of those things where I could go on and on and on and on. Everybody else will kind of just stare at me and go, I don't know anything about this. What are you talking about? It's kind of the reverse of what we had said in the beginning.
Gotcha. Where you're on that end.
Yeah, pretty much. But so to be able to talk about that in videos, that opens up the audience of the internet to find people who have that interest. And so for as excited as I can be talking about animals, there are people who are as excited to listen to me talking about animals. And that's just been the coolest experience, because outside of the internet, I don't know a huge number of, or some of my friends are, but most of the people I encounter on a day-to-day basis are just not that super fascinated with it. And so to have the ability to kind of connect with people who are that interested, it's been really amazing. And it's given me the chance to kind of be myself in a way that I maybe really wouldn't have had the chance to otherwise, and to kind of explore this fascination that I probably wouldn't have gotten to explore in this much depth and detail otherwise. And it feels like it has more purpose now, rather than, oh, this is the cool but useless skill I have. Now I'm actually finding a way to use it and to share this passion, and that's a great feeling.
Oh yeah, that's so really awesome. Just waiting for the frog, tiny green pixel moving on the screen.
I know, like I feel bad for the
poor frog. Oh, you cut out. What was that?
I feel bad for the poor little frogs because I can never see them, and like they're so cool, but also like they always get left behind because nobody knows where they are.
That's why I get a couple skins, and then I always try to wear the most stand-outish one.
Yeah, the one that
in this, a black or red pixel, especially, stands out.
Yeah, that's very, very true. That's very true.
Yeah, so but that's actually really cool. That's something that, as I've asked multiple people this question, I have found to be a very common thread, and that is just the fact that making these videos has helped so many people discover more about themselves and feel more confident about something, or find more passions for something that they really did love but weren't sure how to really express it or go into it and adventure into it.
it's opened a door that maybe wouldn't have been opened. I mean, you know, this has
Mm-hmm.
been
Oh,
around comparatively
yeah.
all that long. It's only been like what, 20 years or so maybe.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a very new thing, and I'm excited that it's opening that door for people because I think it's very valuable to get to express yourself like that because you know unless you luck out and you have that same that same passion, you kind of oftentimes just end up not having anyone to share it with. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not usually something that you get to share unless you really find someone, and that can be like one in a million.
Yeah.
It seems like.
And so it, it's definitely something that has brought out a lot of good. And we can't do
Yes.
this. Let's just click
Aw,
X.
man.
But at the
That's what the
very
fox
least,
looks like.
we have a little emote piece to try and
Ah!
cheer us up. But yeah, it's definitely something that has helped a lot of people, I think. Helped
Oh
a lot of
yeah,
people like
for
either feel
sure.
more confident about themselves or just again like with you where you found a way to really dive into something you're passionate about.
Yeah.
And it's so cool to hear all the different ways that doing this kind of job has helped someone
Yeah.
because it's everybody's so different like we talked about earlier, so all the different ways that this could have affected somebody, positive, we're not going to talk about the negatives, cough cough, positively is amazing. It's just so
It
cool
is. It
because
really, really is.
yeah, because like for me, it's just in general it kind of solidified what I wanted to do with my life in a
Yeah.
way. And that is just to, because I get asked now, like, um, I mean, I haven't gone to college, but if people ask, like, if you go to college, what would you do? It's like, entertainment. I realize that
You like
I'm
this.
not cut out for anything else. Like,
Yeah.
I'm happy to learn about other things, and I definitely want to, and I love animals as well, and I realize there are a couple series that I'm planning that I want to leak in some educational aspects to.
Oh man, that'll be fun.
Um, yes. So it's just kind of like, ooh, there's a little purple thing. What is this? Is this a cave entrance over
Ooh,
here?
perhaps.
It looks like it is. How interesting.
Ooh.
Nice. Maybe we'll find some crystals we can collect. Oh my gosh, because you can collect those now.
Ooh, that's right.
That's so cool. I'm excited. Okay. But yeah, so for me it's basically just been like it definitely helped me open up and express myself because again, I wasn't very good at talking to people, but when I got used to talking like this as if I was talking to somebody, but I was kind of telling a story or entertaining or just talking about something I found interesting and people enjoyed it, it's a lot of fun.
It is. It really
And
is. And it kind of
yeah.
helps you learn to solidify your thoughts as well. I mean, it's helped me be a better storyteller, I think, especially kind of on the fly, which
Mhm.
hopefully that'll be a valuable skill to have too. Like,
Yeah.
I think, I think I've adapted to that even, you know, I've been getting into D&D lately. And hopefully I think some of this leaks over into that a little bit
Ooh,
because
hope
you know that's
so.
a game where you get story elements thrown at you and you have to react to them, and you know you don't you thrive on the unexpected, and I think that's something that I've really learned through my through my own through my own videos here. So for
Mhm.
example, with Wolf Quest, one of the biggest examples for me has been, if you've seen season 4, there was a really big plot twist. Something happened tonight that there was no way I could have predicted that, and it changed his story completely. It turned everything upside down, and I had no way of planning for that, no way of knowing that that was what was going to happen. I kind of just had to roll with it, and learning to adapt to those situations as they occur has actually been a valuable skill, I think, both for storytelling and stuff like this, and even just in life. I mean, you learn to be a little bit less rattled when things happen. It's kind of just a little more like, okay, this is what's happening now, let's go for it. It
Yes.
feels like
It's so nice
it is.
cuz it's definitely I would say I think it kind of has helped with conversations, because a lot of time in a conversation you have no idea how anybody else is going to react.
No,
So,
and so you kind of get used to responding on the fly and just dealing with stuff as it happens.
yeah, and it's honestly really cool.
Yeah,
So yeah,
for sure.
that's cool. That's cool. It's one of the interesting things about YouTube. Is I do think in a way it does help with confidence a lot. I mean, people can definitely still be shy and awkward out of videos, but for the most part, there's a mushroom.
Big mushroom.
Big mushroom.
Mushroom. Big mushroom.
Big mushroom. Big mushroom.
Big mushroom.
Big big mushroom. Big mushroom.
If I can get up there. Oh, there goes the frog. No, don't leave me behind. I want the mushroom. No.
It's okay. I'm still here.
Okay.
You'll get it. You'll get the mushroom.
Okay.
Up it this way.
No, let me run.
That's a heckin' pretty mushroom.
Oh, yes, I love it.
And I think I gotta go picky
cherries.
There we go. Nice.
Sorry, I just wanted the mushroom.
I understand. It's okay. I completely understand. Big mushroom.
Big mushroom.
Big mushroom. But okay, so that was pretty much it for that question. But now I have like maybe one or two more, and then I'll go ahead and finish out the video. But what is what are moments with subscribers that have really stuck with you? And you don't have to list a bunch. You could even just list one. But what are a couple of moments with subscribers that just really still stick with you?
So there was one that was like this is kind of this. I think I actually cried.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure it was just so validating. One of the things that I've always recognized, and part of the reason that I wanted to get in animation in the first place, which now is carried over to my YouTube channel, is that just generally in the media, it feels like there's more and more focus on like adult content. Like even in kids series, there's adult jokes and stuff, and I just, I'm not a fan of that, and I don't really think it's great for kids either. Like that's not something, like even if they don't understand, I don't know, it doesn't sit right with me. And so that's one of the things that I've always had a really strong passion for, is that I want to create content that all ages can enjoy, that doesn't have to fall back on adult humor or adults find it interesting or engaging or funny. Because I feel like too, there's been a sacrifice of story in favor of thinking, oh, adults won't be interested in this unless there's adult content. Whereas like if you look at earlier about Avatar.
Yeah, Avatar.
Well, that was prior. You and I were talking about Avatar at one point, but Avatar is an amazing example of storytelling that resonates both with kids and with adults. And like, kids aren't stupid. I feel like today people think kids are stupid, and that's a flat out lie. I mean,
so frustrating.
Not everything. Kids are gonna. Just because it has fart jokes doesn't mean kids aren't gonna enjoy it. And even if they do enjoy it, that doesn't necessarily mean that's all enjoy. Like, I mean, you can have a deep and meaningful story that has layers to it, and Avatar did that so well. They had themes that were incredibly deep and meaningful, and yet it was still understandable to kids. And the more you watch it, like, I didn't actually watch Avatar as a kid, I watched it as an adult, and I had loved it. It was amazing. I think I binged like a week. I watched it at an insane rate.
When I fully watched it, because I had seen like a handful of episodes multiple times, and we always wanted to finish it. When we fully finished it, I was I think like 16 or so. Like I was in my mid to late teens, which I'm still technically in my late teens, but not. Actually, by the time this video goes out, I probably will be officially 20.
Congrats.
Thank you. That's weird.
But anyway, congrats on the double decade.
Yeah, thank you.
I was amazed by how deep it was, and like it didn't. I don't even remember there being that much adult humor. There might have been a little bit. Like I think there was maybe one or two things that were adult humor, but for the most part, it didn't fall back on that, and it didn't fall back on like toilet humor to cater to kids either. It was genuinely funny in a way that connected with adults and with kids, but it was also genuinely meaningful, and like that's something that few media has ever achieved. And that's what I aspire to, is I want something that can be deep and meaningful and resonate with both adults and kids alike, that's understandable to kids, but still continues to grow in meaning and have more and more layers to unpack as adults.
Mm-hmm.
And that recognizes that kids aren't stupid. Because, again, I feel like people start dumbing things down, and, you know, we do grow in understanding as we get older. There's definitely things that adults will understand that kids won't, but that doesn't mean kids are ignorant, and that doesn't mean that they can't understand the foundations of some of these things either. And so to try and find a good balance for that is very hard but incredibly rewarding. And that's really what I aspire to. I hope someday I'll be able to create content, and I hope I'm starting to.
I would say
now.
So. Watching, yeah, sorry.
Sorry, I kind of tangented into that. But that's leading up
to... I'll say my thing real quick and then let you finish.
Okay.
But that was gonna be my next question. What you aspire for your videos to be?
I guess I answered there.
But go on, finish.
So going back to the idea of what's a subscriber that has had meaning that stuck with me. The one that stuck with me for probably more than a year and a half now is when somebody told me that I'm the only YouTube channel that their little cousin was allowed to watch, who was 6. And that spoke to me because, like, you know, and they were a little older, I think, that both they enjoy my videos, but also that people would recognize that my videos here are that I had really achieved that family friendliness. Sorry, I'm a little distracted because Meadow started lagging, and so
that's
just
okay.
Spasmodically glitching into the ground.
That's
but
why
like
it's lagged
to recognize that people were seeing that, and that people really like that it wasn't just in vain, and say, you know, I really appreciate that you do videos family friendly. That was basically kind of the culmination of what I've hoped for, and that, you know, I want to make, I don't consider myself a children's channel. I consider myself an all ages channel. Again, I want to be able to make content that can resonate with anyone, but the fact that it is something that's considered, that people are considering okay for kids, you know, that's what I want. That's what I want, to be able to reach that audience in a way that I don't feel like you don't feel like you have to worry about there being adult humor or swearing or things in that content just to make it something that people consider to be good. If that makes sense. I feel like I didn't there, but one comment somebody also little cousin or is just that comment was so validating because sometimes I feel like, you know, I wonder a job if I making a difference to anyone, and so to hear that and hear someone say basically exactly why I'm here, very validating.
I know what you mean, because that's actually something like that I think about a lot as well. Because I mean, there are certain series that I plan to do, like horror games. No, I very much recognize that is not kid friendly, but a majority I plan to put a warning up and very much give the warning like this is not family friendly.
And that's fair. That's what I ended up doing with some of my series that were a little bit more like with it was just a little bit more violent than I felt comfortable with. But you know, I mean,
I had a similar comment, and it mind boggled me because I didn't expect this kind of thing, and that was from, I think, a mother who I think they still comment on my videos on occasion. I'm trying to remember the username. But basically, I don't know if it was a mom or a dad, a parent, would comment on my videos and say, my daughter and I, I think it was daughter, I can't remember the exact, like, wording, but basically they said, we watch your videos, my child and I watch your videos, child suits, my kiddo and I, okay, I'll say kiddo seems a little more fitting. My kiddo and I watch your videos together, and we love it. We love watching your niche videos especially. And it mind-boggled me. I know, because you don't think that families would watch your videos. You don't think
but that's that's amazing.
Which is
that's high praise.
I know. So I completely understand why that comment meant so much to you. Because, like, I have firmly believed, like, look, I'm not that innocent. Like, I may seem innocent. There are definitely areas where I might be a little naive, but I'm not really innocent. So, like, I've made plenty of jokes that involve swears or maybe adult themes, but I don't believe you need them to make entertaining content, which is why I often point to my biggest example of this would probably be Stampy. And he's
Stampy,
definitely a lot more aimed towards kid.
I want to watch more of his videos. He's one of the bad thing about being a YouTuber is I feel focused on my own things, and so for all the people who I would like to watch, Stampy is on that list. I've seen a few of his, but it's hard to keep up.
He was my original inspiration for making videos. And then the reason why I started again was actually somebody that we talked to on occasion, and that's Jessie Mew. And little fangirl, Jessie Mew is we're gonna do this. I'm gonna fangirl a little bit before, okay, because like everybody who listens this far in, you're gonna have to deal with this. But the thing is, like, I had watched her videos so much. I was so amazed by her storytelling, and that's why I bought Niche. Because of her. And then I started making videos, and then out of nowhere, like I find on Twitter, I look at my followers like, oh hey, I got a new follower on Twitter. There's Jessie Mew. She followed me. And then I got a new subscriber on YouTube, and I looked and it's like, oh, I got a new subscriber. She subscribed to me before I even had like 100 subscribers.
Oh, that's so cool. Wow.
She's like one of my earliest subscribers.
Oh, that's awesome.
I know. And that's like a fangirl so much. Like, I know I can talk to her now, and that I have talked to her. Like, I've drawn commissions for her, and it's just I don't know if she realizes this about us. She's gonna watch this video and be like, say what? I mentioned it. I think I mentioned it a couple times, but like it was so much. It was very much like I was sitting there. I looked at my sisters and I was like, oh my god, guess who just subscribed to me? It was just so crazy. And
that was very similar to my experience too. She replied to me on Twitter and then followed me, and I was like, oh
my gosh, she's so nice.
I had to take a little bit of a break and just be like, oh my goodness.
Same thing here. Oh my gosh, she's just so cool.
Jess, if you're watching this and you didn't know that, I did have a little bit of a freak out too.
Yeah, same here. Oh my gosh, because like it was basically like my first celebrity interaction, and I know that's like a little bit like. Honestly, it was so cool.
Yeah. And she's so sweet. She's really
so sweet. And like I remember when she was asking if people could do like commissions, and I was like, hey, my commission's open, and she said to me, it's like, oh, I was actually gonna ask you. It's like, oh my god, you were gonna ask me. You were gonna ask me. Oh my gosh. Dude, she's so sweet through that entire thing, like the entire commission, and oh my gosh. So so Jessie, if you're watching this, you're an awesome person. Thank you so much. It really inspired me to keep going, because like I've been doing this for a couple years and I've been growing really slowly, and at first numbers were like a little bit more important, but like that kind of deteriorated really fast, and now it's just like I keep going because I love it. And it was so cool that somebody so big noticed me and took the time to subscribe, and even she's commented on my videos before too. And it's just like, you are a gosh darn angel. But so anyway, back to the point. I understand, like, I completely relate to you wanting to make content that's family friendly. I intend to do horror games because I like the change up. For me, I've always been a huge fan of horror, but most of my content I too aim to have it entertaining for all ages, because it's just, why not? It doesn't have to be. That's why I don't necessarily want to shy away from topics like this, but that's why I like the Meadow videos too, because I don't want to shy away from these topics, because you can talk about them without being ridiculously like vulgar or rude or anything like that. You can just talk about it, and it can be family friendly, and kids are super smart, so remember that. You don't have to talk down to kids. I mean, if there's one thing that I've learned through my interactions with my audience, which is a lot of younger people, is that maybe some of y'all are watching this, and it's just that, you don't ever want to underestimate that. You don't ever want to talk down. Like, there have been times when I've worried that I would
go too far or say too much or say something that wouldn't be understandable. But the reaction that I've had, has always gone above and beyond anything I would have. Like you guys, you're sharp. You pick up on things. You really are.
I know.
And you just
it makes me so proud of them.
Yeah, I know. It's amazing. Like you never want to underestimate that. And even I do it, and I've had to learn this time and time again. I've been able to talk about how.
Are you behind me?
I'm trying to follow you. You're glitching a little bit, so I'm kind of.
Oh, okay.
It's like it keeps spazzing out, and you keep jumping, and I'll have to show you because you're sprinting. Right now, you're sprinting straight up without actually moving.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm by the rock.
Yeah, I see you now. But like sometimes I worry. Is this going to be too much? Is like if this topic is going to be too much or too far, or will people understand? Because I talked about ethics stuff. I've talked about strong subjects and tough subjects, and you guys catch on. You get it. Even
they have so many
just can't.
particle particles.
Yes, you just can't. You can't. You don't want to underestimate that, and that's I think such an incredibly valuable lesson in this world. Because again, going back to the example of all too often you'll see a lot of these newer movies just falling back on fart jokes and. No, it doesn't have to be that. Like,
I'm sitting, by the way.
Oh, you're walking backwards. You're walking backwards.
Do you want to know how to actually walk backwards? Okay, so walk backwards. I think you just jump.
Okay.
Okay. I'm trying to remember how you do it.
Oh. Huh. I see you now. Like, you're right here. I see now.
I'm trying to remember how to... Because this was something like... I'm trying to remember how we did it. Oh, there we go. It was a glitch that T and I discovered when we did our Meadow episode. Look, I'm walking up.
I can't see you. You're just walking.
You'll see it on my video. You can just skip to this and be like, oh, that's what you meant.
My goodness.
Yeah, so I think that's actually a really good note to end this episode on is... You don't need to make content full of, and not to say that content with those kind of, because they can be very clever too with adult humor, because there are plenty of videos I've watched where it is more adult and it's hilarious and done well and it doesn't fall on stupid jokes, but it's still more adult. So not to say that content is bad, but really just to say that content that doesn't have that can be just as entertaining and just as good in every aspect. And
exactly. That it doesn't have to rely on that to be good.
And kids deserve that content because a lot of the kid shows I see today, I understand for like little kids, they kind of gravitate to that. But when you start hitting like 4 or 5 and like a beyond, it's kind of like at that point, kids deserve.
It should start to be more meaningful. It's disrespectful to kids to just reduce these shows to nothing but fart jokes and bathroom humor. Like that's discrediting. It's discrediting and disvalidating, and kids shouldn't have to settle for this. That's not how it was like when I was growing up, and
I remember
feel
all
sad
my kid
that
shows.
This generation is growing up with that. And
I know it's so frustrating. It's so
is.
frustrating. Basically, be like Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yes, aspire to that.
Aspire to that creativity. And so I think that's going to be it. Thank you so much for doing this with me. This has been so much fun to talk about.
It's been awesome.
Yeah. Oh, and you're welcome back anytime. So if there's anything else you want to talk about, just let me know and be like, B, you gotta do this.
Sometime then.
Exactly. Because maybe we could.
This has been very, very fun.
Yeah, maybe we could delve into more like videos and different kind of like interesting things along these lines, like different content styles and how you wish more of this could be that, or maybe things you're trying to do, new ideas. But yeah, this has been a lot of fun, and I really appreciate it. I know some of this stuff, especially when like regarding personal experiences with social anxiety and similar things, can be a little tough to talk about. So I appreciate that you were willing to do this with me. So thank you.
I hope.
Oh, I think you cut out a little bit.
Oh, I said hopefully it went pretty well. I think I'm probably yes, and
Yeah.
make sure, oh, did I say everything right? But, you know.
You said everything
yeah.
very well. I think you
I
worded
hope,
your
I
thoughts
hope
very
so.
well.
Hopefully it makes sense to people, and
Yes.
hopefully, you know, again, I think experience probably a lot more people can relate to than we ever realized, and
Yeah.
so hopefully, you know, if you guys struggle with social anxiety too, hopefully maybe this is validating to know that, hey, just because we might be YouTubers doesn't mean we don't struggle with the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
And if you don't struggle with social anxiety, then hopefully this gives you a little bit more compassion towards what other people might be going through, and maybe it'll help you guys be a little bit more able to understand some of what people might be experiencing, even if they look like they're okay. That sometimes this is actually a lot harder than people realize it would be.
Yeah,
So
exactly. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I want to thank you all for watching, and thank you again, Jay, for joining me. But we gotta be bopping on out of here, and we will see you in the next video. Goodbye.
bye bye.